I thought I'd better stand up to speak to you. Most people tell me to stand up when I've stood up. But this is a very important event for the Stewart Ford team. This is our very first World Championship Grand Prix. It's our first race of any kind. Today, in Jan's case, the car that he was driving had never run until it left the pits at 11 o'clock this morning to start its practice. When Rubens left the pits just a few minutes later, it was the first time ever that two of our cars were on the racetrack at the same time. There had never been two Stewart Fords ever on a racetrack before, because we have only been winter testing, and we've either been out with one car or another. So we've come here as prepared as we could, considering the team only had the first line drawn on a computer 1 year and 4 days from today. In 1996, on the 4th of, well, it must be 3 days, on the 4th of March was the first time a line was driven along a computer. We don't have any drawing boards in our racing team. They're all computer designed, the cars, and it's the first computer designed race car ever in the world. So you see us here in our raw youth. Maybe those two guys, maybe me not quite. But nevertheless, Stewart Ford team is certainly in its youth. And today we kind of showed that, because we had problems first with Jan's car that had electronic problems in the gearbox. We then had troubles, electronic again, but different, with Rubens's car. We thought we had them fixed. We put it all together again. He went out and the electronic gizmos didn't work the way they should. Now these cars and teams like ours today are almost overloaded by electronic technology. We are now downloading all of that. Some of it's real-time telemetry, other is data acquisition. We're now analysing everything that was done on the limited number of laps that were completed by both Jan and Rubens to find out exactly where the flaws stemmed from. So the times that we were able to post today, I think Jan only did 9 laps on a racetrack that he's never been on before. Rubens did, I don't know, 6 laps. My God, that's a lot of petrol you used, Rubens. You'll have to behave yourself. If it's not going to work correctly, Rubens, we'd appreciate you used up less fuel. But seriously, it's disappointing for us that we weren't able to give both our drivers a better opportunity to show themselves, because we believe we've got two of the most important young talents in the world today. Rubens has proved himself in karting, in Formula 4, in Formula 3, and he was the British champion, beat out David Coulthard. I was very upset with him at the time, because David Coulthard was driving for us. And he's also won Formula 3000 races. So here he is in Formula 1, and I'm sure you're going to see him win one of those. Jan has been 3 times world champion in karting. He did well in Formula 4. He came to the Stewart Racing Formula 3 team and won the British Championship with more victories than Ayrton Senna or Nigel Mansell or Jackie Stewart, something I'll never forgive him for. But he really is one of the drivers that everybody in the world is looking towards in the future. So I think I might just hand it back to you, all of you who are here in this very nice place. I mean, it's very clearly where the playboys hang out and play like this. I mean, we racing drivers never get to places like this. And I see a whole lot of attractive women around here, and of course racing drivers never get to see any attractive women either. So we're all very happy to be over here. Rubens never does look at attractive women, of course, because he only got married about a week or 10 days ago. So we blindfold him everywhere he goes in Australia. Anyway, I'll hand back to you, and then maybe the boys might want to say something about their experiences so far. Thank you very much.
Principal of Stewart Ford Grand Prix Formula One team, Jackie Stewart. I'm sure he needs no introduction. He is the winner of 27 Grand Prix. He's 3 times world champion. And this is directly after the inaugural qualifying session for the team, which turned out to be absolutely fantastic. So please welcome Jackie.
Well, thank you all very much. It's been quite an exciting day, to say the least, from the Stewart Ford team. I'm still kind of hoarse, getting over all that noise in the pits and trying to keep calm. For this, our very first Grand Prix and our first qualifying session, to have both cars qualified for us is maybe more than we could have dreamed. We were very conservative about our forecasts and what we were expecting or what we should perhaps be aiming for. And we have been all the way through saying you mustn't expect too much from us too soon. And I still say that, but both Rubens Barrichello and Jan Magnussen today really did a great job for us. And, you know, it's funny, to make the field with both cars you're entering is already quite a big feat for any new team. Most new teams start off with only one car because it's such a big job. For those of you who may have been here yesterday, I explained, and I'm sorry if I'm behind the pillar for some of you there, but 1 year and 4 days ago, there wasn't even a line on a computer designing this car. That's exactly when it started, the 4th of March 1996. To have brought the team here with 3 cars, with 15 engines, with 56 people, with 20 tons of equipment, has been logistically an enormous job, and considering the fact that Alan Jenkins, our technical director, has created not just one car from that line that appeared in a Hewlett-Packard computer, that only not many months ago, is pretty impressive. So for us to have qualified both cars today is a real big feeling of achievement as a team effort. It is a team effort. I said to many people today that we couldn't possibly have done it but for the terrific association we've had with the Ford Motor Company. They've given us great technical support, they've given us the engines, they've given us the people to assist us. I also said that, and my son's still in the debriefing along with Rubens and Jan, after every practice or qualifying session there's about a 1 to 2 hour debrief on the technology and all of the issues that are involved. So they're still in that debrief session now. I told everybody that I would never have started this had it not been for my son. I've been there, I've done it, and I've got a t-shirt. So if it hadn't been for a son, and thank God I've got another son right now in this audience here, thank God he didn't take it up as well. I had 2 teams. But he, in fact, is in video production. Mark Stewart Productions, in fact, created a 1 hour special that's going out at 5 o'clock this afternoon on Channel 9, which is a terrific work of art that Mark Stewart's done a great job on. So it's a whole family affair. But I would never have got into this if it had not been for Paul. We have a racing team called Paul Stewart Racing, which has done pretty well. It's won more races and championships than any other team in the world in its categories. Well, I wouldn't have gone Formula One racing. It's too much like work. But here we are, we're here. And without Paul, I couldn't have done it. The input that he's had within the team to look after things along with me has been of tremendous assistance. I'm kind of disappointed in a way for Rubens and Jan, because Rubens Barrichello today, on the last lap of his quick laps, just before the accident occurred, that caused the stoppage only 2.5 minutes before the end of qualifying, he was on a real flyer. And he came across this accident and there was debris all over the track. And he had to run over the debris and it damaged the underside of the car quite a lot. And he therefore had to come straight in. Had he continued that lap as he was progressing, he would certainly have finished 9th in qualifying and maybe even 8th. So I'd love to have had him in the top 10. Not only for all of you, but for me. Now I'm Scottish. And I've got mixed feelings, because before this all happened, coming to Australia, he said, well, how do you think we'll do? I said, well, I don't expect very much. He said, what happens if I qualify in the first 10? And I said, I'll give you a Rolex Daytona if you finish in the top 10. But he really deserved it. Of course, I am Scottish and he's not getting it. And for Jan, we've given him a bit of a bad run in a way, because it was a brand new car, never rolled a wheel until yesterday, because he had a fairly big accident in his own race car in Portugal 2 weeks ago and almost wrote it off. So therefore we thought we should give him a new car, which we were already building, and it never turned a wheel until yesterday. So he has qualified, but he would have qualified, I think, around 15, but on his quick laps, unfortunately, and he was only halfway through his qualifying procedure, a water hose came off and put all the water over the tyres, and we couldn't fix it in time, so he lost the best bit of qualifying. So I think you may well see him doing a little better tomorrow, hopefully. But it's been a great day for us. It's been a great excitement, of course, anticipation. Now we've got over that, I can get back to my own most constant state of concern now about tomorrow. Will the engine start on the grid? Will they get through the first corner without getting the front wing knocked off? You just can't trust those drivers. But you watch your screens as well as watch out there, and we'll see if he gets through that. If he gets through that, Rubens will do very well. Jan, in fact, is fairly well placed if there's a bit of nonsense up front, because he's got enough space to be able to slow down, avoid it all, and he might come through it pretty well, in fact, if such an event occurs, and it's not unusual in the first lap. But we're ahead of the Jordan team that are really experienced. We're way ahead of the reigning world champion, David Hill. We're ahead of some pretty hard hitters, and we're just behind the Benetton. So really, the team has done a little better than I would have anticipated. None of it would have been possible without the support of the companies that most of you are here today as guests of or are involved with. The Ford Motor Company I've already spoken of with great pride. HSBC was the first of our commercial partners to sign up with us. A fantastic company. Of course, it's chairman Scottish. And they are now the most successful financial services company in the world. They do a tremendous job, one of the real customer-driven companies in the world. We're with Texaco, and they've got 40,000 dealers worldwide, a complete global company. We're of course with Sanyo, and they are pretty well recognized around the world. We're with Bridgestone, and they helped us today because the Bridgestone tyre, even though this was its very first Grand Prix qualifying session, has put up a terrific show. These are the things that it takes. Hewlett-Packard and EDS Software, all of these companies have contributed so much to allow what has occurred today to happen. And without that, there would be no Stewart 14. So we've been pretty happy. And the results so far seems to have caused quite a commotion up in the paddock area and the rest of the pits and amongst the aficionado journalists. So excuse me for being a little bit late and coming down here. I apologise for the drivers not being with us, but frankly their first priority is to get this thing working as well as we can for the race tomorrow. The race is different. We're only allowed 12 laps to qualify the car. Even though it lasts a whole hour, we're only permitted to do 12 laps. If you don't get a good lap in within those 12 laps, you don't qualify. You're only allowed 7 sets of tyres for the whole weekend. So if you lock up your brakes and flat spot a tyre, which means it's no longer round and therefore it vibrates and possibly, it's a big disadvantage. Now we're starting off with a good stock of tyres, and we're starting off with healthy cars, and we have qualified, but I've never driven a new racing car that hasn't had overheating troubles. Either the engine, the transmission or the brakes, the fuel, the oil or the petrol. And we've got to go through that experience tomorrow to see if we can, for one of our cars to finish the race. If we were to do that, then we would have almost had a miracle come true for us. So just cross your fingers, and the ladies, your legs. You don't know how good that advice is with this bunch of men around. So if you could just wish us for tomorrow that we'll finish one of our cars. 2 of our cars would be too much to ask for, but just for one of them to finish. And really, we're being very tentative about that and not fully expecting that, because this is the beginning of a long-term program. So I don't think there's much left for me to say other than to thank all of the companies that I've just mentioned for all of their support and their commitment to us. The government of Malaysia, for example, are here, and their Visit Malaysia, you must have seen it today out there on the car and on the dyno screen. There are more and more people going to come to Malaysia because of seeing this around the world. Tomorrow's race will probably be viewed on a global basis by about, live coverage, this is live coverage, by about 430 million people. This is certainly the biggest event that takes place in Australia in a year. There's no other event that you have that has that kind of coverage. I mean, I know you play that funny game, football, over here with peculiar rules. I know you play cricket. Well, the Scots don't play cricket, but I understand the English don't either. But this television occasion tomorrow in Australia will be the focus of the whole world. Biggest television sport in the world now is Formula One. So I can assure you a lot of people have been looking at your lovely city of Melbourne and Victoria here, and they'll all be, I'm sure, impressed. So we'll try and do the best for you. And back in Malaysia, they'll be watching it as well, and we hope that they'll enjoy the experience too. Thank you all very much.
Question: who's your, or what's your prediction for the race tomorrow, and who's going to win?
Well, I've said at the beginning, prior to coming to Australia, that I thought Jacques Villeneuve was going to be the 1997 world champion. Not because he's a good driver, and he is a good driver, but the Williams team is certainly the best Grand Prix racing team in the world, and has been, in my opinion, for probably the best part of 5 years. They're the best engineered team, the best prepared team, the most solid team. And the fact that Frentzen has come in from the cold, you know, not doing very well in another team, and immediately put a performance up to be second fastest in qualifying, I think says an awful lot for that car and that team. It'll be very tough for anyone else to beat the Williams cars tomorrow, because both drivers are very skilled and talented. The teamwork there, we've got to do pit stops tomorrow. We've never done a Formula One pit stop before. They've done one after another, for God knows how many Grand Prix. So that kind of slickness and confidence they have is going to take them a long way. They've got two good drivers. Michael Schumacher is unquestionably the best racing driver in the world as far as I'm concerned, and by a farmer's mile, not just by a small margin. The Ferrari is not anywhere close to being as good a car as the Williams. He carried that car around to get the time that he achieved. The McLarens are very good racing cars. The Mercedes engine is working very well. And if they finish, they will be on the podium, the McLarens. So David Coulthard, I hate to say it, but another Scot. One of our boys came through our staircase of talent in Paul Stewart Racing. And he really could actually get up there pretty quickly and get ahead of Schumacher. Never an easy man to pass. It'll be tough for him to take on the Williams, but I think if both Williams finish, I think there's a real good chance that Coulthard could finish third. That's how I see it.
We really appreciate you taking the time again to come down and talk to us. Congratulations again on a fantastic team effort today in qualifying, and all the very best tomorrow during the race. Please, thank you.